For this lesson, we will investigate how to implement an if-then statement without an else. So, to do so, we need an example. And let's say I draw a flowchart here that would show what we intend to do, and then we'll show the implementation in terms of code. Let's suppose, and let's start with our flowchart. This is the start of our program. Okay. And let's suppose we ask the user to input the age for a person and then compare the age to 18. That means if the age is 18 or higher, allow the person to come in. So what variables are we going to need? So in here, I am just going to write the variables that I would need. I would need age, and in my case, it will be of type integer. So this here just indicates what variables I might need for this program. Let's start with that. So I will ask the user, and this would be an input statement, to enter the age in some form, which means this could be a message that says enter the age, but the value will be stored in this variable, okay? And so let me clean it up a little bit. So whatever we do here will be an input where the value will be stored in this variable. Next is the comparison. This is where we will compare is age greater or equal to 18. And I'll put a question mark here, which means if it is true, you will do something. If it's false, you will do something else. So this is true and false. So if it's true, we will print out a message. Let's say, yes, you can come in. If it's false, we do nothing. Remember, this structure is an if statement without an else. We join these flow lines and we continue with our program. We could, for the sake of it, print end of program so we can show where the program ends. So out, end of program. As a message. And this will here be the true indicator or terminator for the actual flow or the program itself. So remember, we start here and end here. This kind of programming, we have flow lines right here that indicate the direction in which the logic is implemented. So one, we need a variable age. In Python, we can actually declare the variable while we use it right here. And then the next thing we're going to be doing is compare age to 18. So this portion right here is the if statement without an else. And it starts right here and ends right here. Okay? So, and notice it has two branches. The answer to this question is either true or false. If it's false, notice we do nothing. So that, in other words, there is no else. But if it's true, we will do something. And in this case, we'll just simply print yes to the screen. No matter what, if it was true or false, we end up at this point here. This is called a connector. This takes us to the rest of the program where we're going to print end of program and then end the program. Let's go ahead and implement this in code. So here I have a prepared file called conditional_01.py. So it is a Python. And then we're going to do the first thing is age. Now, the way you declare a variable in Python is you could say age, for example, equals 0, no semicolons. That would be reserved for C, C++, or Java. Or you can actually ask the user to input a value for age. And in this case, since you are deciding that age will be an integer, so something like this, and then inside of that, you will write input. So input is a function. You can write the message that you want, enter the age. Now, once we've entered the age, it is time to compare the age to 18, or the threshold. So you do that in an if statement. If age greater or equal, notice the greater or equal operator. Okay, so from your keyboard, from the screen, that's the only way you can do it, versus if you were, let's say, doing it on paper. Notice mathematically, algebraically, we would write it this way. Okay, so in here on the editor, this is the way to say greater or equal to 18. Now notice what I'm going to do is a colon. That defines where the end of the condition evaluation is done. If it is true, notice my prompt, automatically the IDE recognizes that it needs to indent. So we would print yes, and that's what we intended to do for this case. And then what we're going to do is separate from that if statement. Now I don't necessarily need to enter a new line, but if I do, just for clarity, I could print end of program. Okay, all right, so that's it. Let's run this program. So let me right mouse click right here. We can run conditional 0, 1. And let me just move this into the screen here, right here. And you could see here, enter age. So we will enter 12. And notice nothing happens as far as yes is concerned. Because of the flow, it's false, right? So let's go look at the flow again. We've entered 12. So what happens at the evaluation? It's false. So we follow this line, end of program. So it completely skipped the output yes. Now let's run this program again. And let's put now 19. And notice this time yes prints plus the end of program. So let's look at our flow again. We ask the user to enter age. Is age greater or equal to 18? The answer is yes, so it is true. Yes will print, and the program will print no matter what. So either false or true, and the program will print because it's outside the if statement. Okay, so whatever I circled here. The next lesson, we're going to look at an if statement with an else.